Hey guys, do you believe in free will? How about choice, responsibility, right and wrong, good and evil? In my last video, called Right and Wrong, I argued that if you are an atheist, a materialist, a naturalist, or an evolutionist, you cannot believe in free will, choice, responsibility, right and wrong, or good and evil. Now, I received many responses in the comments section from people attempting to defend their beliefs in things like right and wrong, choice, and free will from an atheistic, materialistic, naturalistic, evolutionary worldview. Upon reviewing the comments very carefully and responding to as many as my time permitted, it occurred to me that none of the responses were adequate, and I wanted to review some of the comments that I received on camera for you guys to come to your own conclusions and tell me if you believe still that you can believe in right and wrong, good and evil, responsibility, choice, and free will within a materialistic, naturalistic, evolutionary, atheistic worldview. Let's begin. This atheist says, morals are the rules defining right and wrong. I'd stop right there and ask him, well, how do you then figure out what is moral without right and wrong? And because they came from an evolutionary process that selected for group cohesion and cooperation, we know that instinctual morals will benefit all the individuals in a society by directly benefiting that society. What Hitler did was wrong because it doesn't benefit society, even though the Nazi Party backed him. I don't know that I'm 100% right. No one does. That's an absolute statement. But I can say that from my best judgment, it is correct. Oh boy. Okay, so we've got morals are defined by right and wrong are defined by morals. Try and figure that one out. And then we've got this idea that morals are justified by how they benefit society. Now you've got to ask yourself, why is benefiting society moral or right? You know, nature doesn't really care if humanity gets wiped out. I mean, according to the evolutionist, nature wiped out the dinosaurs. I don't see why it would have any apprehension wiping us out in the same way. So, you know, how can you say that benefiting human society is right? Maybe wiping us out is, maybe that's better, you know? How do you know? Now you would say, well, according to humans, benefiting humans is good. Well, gee, right and wrong has to be external to humanity, or we're going to keep running in circles. Raymond Corrigan writes, let's say everyone in the world's morality said that killing Jews is right. Then according to everyone's morality, killing Jews is right. It is never inherently right or wrong. My morals would still say that killing Jews is wrong. I have evolved a feeling of disgust at certain immoral actions. This disgust benefited me because it benefited others and made them trust me. So according to me, what he did is immoral. The reason I chose this comment is because I think this is a wonderful sampling of what the evolutionist, atheist, materialistic, naturalists out there on YouTube actually believe. So I want you to ask yourself, is this actually what you believe? And if so, I'd like to take a moment to show you that everything this guy said is wrong. He starts off by saying that if everyone believed it was right to kill the Jews, it would then be right to kill the Jews. That just begs the question, is man the ultimate standard of morality? Does majority opinion dictate right from wrong? Or is there an objective morality? What if God says, thou shalt not murder? Then it doesn't matter if Hitler thinks it's okay to kill the Jews. Hitler is wrong, and God will judge him. It doesn't matter if two or more people or societies have differing views of morality. So long as there is an objective standard, it doesn't matter what our opinions of morality are. And simply stating a relativistic view of morality does not itself demonstrate that morality is not objective. And so many of the comments that I've been receiving have been like this. Well, some people believe it's right to abort, and some people don't. Therefore, there is no objective standard on it. It's neither right or wrong to abort. Well, gee, really? What if God says it's wrong? Then it doesn't matter if you say it's right. It doesn't matter if you believe it's right. Just because people have differing opinions of morality, or reject morality altogether, does not mean morality does not exist, or that there's not an objective, absolute standard. The next point I'd like to point out is that given a morally relativistic standard, which is what this guy is showing us, he flat out says that it's not inherently right or wrong to do anything. In English, that means right and wrong don't exist, because nothing is inherently right or wrong. He then goes on and contradicts himself by saying that according to his view of morality, it is wrong to kill the Jews. Well, you can't have the cake and eat it too. You can't say on one hand that right and wrong don't exist, that there is nothing inherently right or wrong, and then say, oh, but it is wrong, according to me, to kill the Jews. Well, you just said that there is nothing that's inherently right or wrong. You see, the Bible says that we are so deeply and intrinsically designed to know right and wrong that even if we come up with a absurd, relativistic, evolutionary worldview that flat out denies right and wrong, there's still going to be this lingering connection that makes us believe in right and wrong. It's just that deeply part of us and that obvious that you can't get away from it. So if you are a materialist, a naturalist, an atheist, an evolutionist, and you believe that nothing is intrinsically right or wrong, you can never again say that you have morality. You can't say that, well, I know that right and wrong don't exist, but I think that's wrong. What on earth are you doing? That doesn't even begin to make sense. As soon as you reject God as an absolute standard, you're going to look elsewhere for standards. But if you look to humanity for a standard, and you see humanity with all kinds of different standards, and some people think this is right, and some people think that's wrong, you got anarchy on your hands. You don't have a standard at all. So of course you're going to come up with this evolutionary nonsense, the religion of atheism and your own Genesis story that states man evolved all this. You have to come up with an explanation of somehow, and that is believed by blind faith. That is why Christians believe atheism is a religion. You have your own Genesis story, you believe it completely by blind faith, there is no testable, repeatable, observable evidence or method that you can do to demonstrate that your beliefs concerning morality came about over millions of years of evolution. You just believe that because you've already rejected the absolute moral lawgiver and the absolute moral standard.
This atheist writes, "You know, Sean, laws were not invented by the Bible. People have been writing and enforcing laws long before the Bible was ever written. You are not allowed to kill someone for no reason because we said so. We, the people, decided that was wrong. It doesn't have to be preordained decision of what is right and what is wrong. People can decide for themselves what others can and cannot do. If you don't obey them, you are punished accordingly."
And when did I ever say that we get our laws from the Bible? There is a law back in my old school that we're not allowed to chew gum. I'm pretty sure that they didn't get that from the Bible. Of course, men make laws. The question is, where did men get the idea of right and wrong? Now, did I ever say they got that from the Bible? No, I didn't. You see, if men didn't already know right from wrong, then when they opened the Bible and the Bible said this is wrong, we would say, what does wrong mean? You see, part of our very nature, the way we're designed, as the Bible says, is we know right from wrong. We have an understanding of what that means. So the question is not where do we get our laws from? The question is where do we get this idea of right and wrong from? And there can only be a justified, that's the key word, there can only be a justified view of right and wrong if there is an absolute standard of right and wrong. As we've already demonstrated, within an atheistic, naturalistic, materialistic, evolutionary worldview, nothing is inherently right or wrong. So we can't have a foundation for a belief that anything is right or wrong. Biblically, we have a very good explanation that the God who made us gave us an intrinsic understanding of right and wrong because God requires certain behavior from us in accordance with what he deems right, and he tells us to abstain from what he deems wrong. And if we didn't have an understanding of what right and wrong meant, we wouldn't be able to even understand what the Bible says concerning it. And the reason God gave us the Bible is there are certain things that we may or may not be aware of that are right and wrong. You see, there's a difference between right and wrong, meaning rightness and wrongness, and the particulars of what is right and what is wrong, conduct. And that needs to be very firmly understood.
This atheist says, "Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to bother watching the video itself because the description is silly. Of course, there's no absolute right or wrong. When an atheist says something is right or wrong, we mean it in relation to our own personal morality. There is no absolute morality, because if there were, people wouldn't disagree on it so often."
Of all the objections we've looked at so far, this one has to be the most thoughtless. It's like saying there is no absolute truth because so many people disagree. Well, there goes evolution. I mean, gee, so many people disagree with it that therefore it must not be true, if you want to use that logic. Now, if you want to be logical, no. people who disagree with objective morality, if objective morality exists, are wrong. That's all it means. I mean, the first instance in the Bible of sin was when Adam and Eve decided to go against God's objective morality. The first sin in the Bible was actually relativistic morality, them deciding what they could do. That's the biggest sin, that's the first sin, and that's the cause of all sin, is people deciding what's right and wrong apart from God telling them what to do, since God is the judge and the standard. As soon as we start deciding what's right and wrong and acting as our own gods, we're going to run into problems, especially on Judgment Day, when our morality crumbles before the absolute and eternal standard of God. This guy says, some atheists do believe in objective morals. Oh yeah, I've heard of those atheists. Those are the atheists that believe in God, right?